and welcome to the Digital CxO podcast. I'm Amanda Razani. I'm excited to have Des Anderson here today. He's the CTO and co-founder of LearnUpon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Amanda. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, happy to have you on our show. Can you share a little bit about LearnUpon? What services do you provide?
Sure. So LearnUpon would have been co-founded by myself and Brendan, who's our CEO. And we originated out of Ireland, so our HQ is in Dublin, Ireland. So we're a global company today. We're about 12 years old, and we have offices in Dublin, also in Belgrade, Serbia, which is where I'm based, Philadelphia, Salt Lake City in the US, and also Sydney. And that's all about follow the sun model when it comes to our customers. So we've a global customer base, and LearnUpon focuses ultimately on an LMS or a learning management system. So we're an online cloud-based SaaS solution. And we provide the platform that enables our customers to train different audiences, and the different audiences can be their internal employees or their people, or it might be their customers and their partners and members. So it can be dependent on the use case, and some of our customers would have multiple use cases as well. It's not just tied to one single, let's say, thing. But that's effectively LearnUpon in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Well, that leads us into our topic of the day, which is learning and development. So can you share a little bit about the digital transformation of this field and what are you bringing as far as innovation?
Sure. It's a great topic, certainly from myself, without boring you to tears on the audience. Like I've since I graduated from university and college many moons ago at this stage, back in 2000, I wandered effectively into the L&D space, didn't really know what I was getting into, but it ultimately fell in love with it. And what I mean by that is, to your question, it's so broad. There's so many different things going on and so many different aspects to the technology as well. And of course, me being a technologist at heart, I especially love that, But for me, since that time, a lot of the customers I was dealing with then in the company WBT that I was working for in their LMS, they had training manuals, which is a document, and they were scanning it into a printer and then trying to upload that into their platform and trying to digitize that. Whereas now you transfer it to today, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about it. You've got things like AI and all. We're not starting from a paper-based sort of learning manual. Everything is digitized, right? And that's been a huge transformation over those years, and absolutely massive technological leaps when it comes to not only just the LMS space, but L&D and sort of technology in general. And I would have sent my first email when I was in college, like the first day in college. I remember it was the first email I sent from the lab in Dublin City University. And again, you fast forward to today, it's a very different world that we live in. So we're constantly having to innovate and evolve and so forth. Particularly when I think about technologies today, the likes of browser applications, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in them today, right? But it was back then, when I first started out as a software engineer, there was maybe one browser. It was Internet Explorer, and the idea of dragging and dropping entities around the screen was like science fiction, right? Whereas now you've got applications where you've got full-on video editing and image editing going on right there in front of you in your browser. You don't need to install applications onto your laptop, never mind a mobile device, and all these different things. So it's certainly an exciting time, and certainly lots going on, which it certainly, as I say, I'm quite the introverted nerd and the technologist, so it certainly excites me.
Well, can you share some different perhaps use cases or company journeys with us that improve the learning and development?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I guess, we've various different customers that we serve. It could be everything from Gusto to Adecco Group, Twilio. And just by mentioning those names, you'll get a sense of just the diversity in the different types of companies, and as a result, the audiences that we're serving. So when we started LearnUpon, it was really simple. It was really under the basis of actually e-learning should be simple, and it should be the concept of allowing our customers to create, assign, deliver, and track. It's literally down. Those are the four pillars, and they still remain to be that today. And that's ultimately what we're focused on and enabling our customers to do. And that can be everything from onboarding. So if you imagine you have a new member of your team starting today, we excel in that ability of creating a personalized onboarding experience for that employee. assigning the content in an efficient and automated way, providing a robust ability to track their progress through that training, and then ultimately allowing you maybe as a HR leader to report on that and get analytics from it. So that's like a very classic use case, when it comes for employee training, let's say. All the way through to customer training, it can be, we have e-commerce where, we have our customers that might be selling directly through a public-facing portal, or they're literally just training their customers on their own products. And so we have a lot of software companies that are doing that also. And so as a result, as you can probably get a sense just in a minute or so of me talking, it's just there's a lot of different use cases and a lot of different things and cool things that you can do. But ultimately for us, like when we started, it's all about customer, like we obsessed about customer. And I know all companies will play that, right? Of course, that's why they're there. But I guess I bring it right back to our culture and our values. It's the customer at the heart, and ultimately when our customers are unhappy, we're unhappy. And when they're happy, we're happy, and that's our why. And so when we think about that, we built the system around being simple and easy to use, and try and remove the complexity away from the LMS itself. LMS can be very complex by nature because of all these different things going on, and focusing ultimately on the results. So ultimately trying to understand what are our customers trying to do, and working with the likes of Twilio and Adecco, as I say, understanding what good looks like, and trying to ensure that they're set up for success that way. But it really, just to pare it all back, and certainly just people tuned in and listening and they don't really understand too much of LMS, I don't think you have to. I think you really need to just understand about what it is that you're trying to achieve. What does good look like? What are your business goals? And then you start working through it that way, and keep it simple.
I know just from my personal standpoint, I definitely have seen more engaging and interesting trainings out there now. It used to be so dry and boring, and
right.
And if the material is dry and boring, it's going in one ear and out the other. And for me, I'm a hands-on person. So if I'm just reading a whole bunch of theoretical material, it's not going to stick till I'm able to apply it. So how are you adding engaging features, especially with AI now? I imagine there's a lot of different things you can add in to make it more engaging.
Absolutely. AI is interesting. I guess we're applying AI where we see that as you say, it can create better engagements and it can create better efficiency and so on with the platform, and ultimately the learning content for the learner in mind. So we have tools like that would serve, say, our administrators, so they can very easily engage with the platform to create exams. So they can throw a topic right in there, and it could be digitization in the L&D space, and create an exam for me, and AI will go off and create an exam with questions and so forth. So that's quite engaging way to chat with the platform to create content for yourself, and all the way through to the learner side. So we have what we call an AI coach, which is coming soon. And it's that idea to engage the learner. So if you, as you say, typically speaking, to call a spade, people come in to do training because they have to, right? And they just want to get check the box and get the thing done. And sort of the AI coach is a way to bring the learner back and maybe prompt them with questions around, hey, how did you find the training? What did you learn? What did you find challenging? And that can only further then maybe help that learner's manager or, team lead to understand maybe where the person is being challenged. It might indicate maybe where the content can be better. And again, it can help the instructors that are creating that type of content. So I guess it's all multi-purpose when it comes to AI from that point of view, and we're still discovering and learning more about it. Of course, AI can hallucinate, and you've got to be careful with that. And data privacy is also a thing that people are talking about. But I think if you think about AI from the pure sense and using it in those ways to engage people, it can be really, really powerful, and that's what we're indexing on. Especially when it comes to efficiency, it can be hugely powerful from the time.
We know we're seeing a lot of technologies that have advanced rapidly in the last couple of years, AI being one of them. So from your experience, are you working with any companies that are struggling with staffing and finding the employees with the skill sets that they need, and they're looking for a way to train within the company and skill up their employees they already have?
Absolutely, yeah. Skilled, that's when you should say skilled. Skilled is really an important topic right now out there in the industry, and everything from ensuring that your content is tagged with the relative skills that that content would provide, and through to understanding ultimately your user base and your employee ecosystem, what skills are out there and what do they need to get to the next level. So for example, like we've introduced a lot of different integrations with HR applications so that we can exchange data back and forth. So it can be, we've seen that it's quite key in the industry that as you deliver your training and you're working through that you can get the analytics back, and the analytics is key so that you can bring the data back out to maybe your BI systems, literally crunch it, compare it with your employee base and the skill sets that are there to then further understand then the next level up and the next skill. So that there's plenty of ways to do that. We've got ways that you can tag your user profiles within LearnUpon, for example, so that you can report on that and easily group by different skill sets and so forth. So absolutely on point. Like, it's a great question. And I would say like it's a hot topic out there right now in the industry, just about how you do that and what's the most efficient way.
So for companies that are looking to implement some sort of training and development program that have not done it before, what do you recommend to them as the starting point?
That's a great one. I bring it right back to what do you want to achieve? What's your good look like? What's your business results? So that might be anything, let's say from it might be employee retention. So if you're trying to ensure that people feel that they're learning and that they're training and they're upskilling and growing in their career, that might be a metric that you want to track. It might be revenue, and that's maybe a growth factor that you need to decide on. And I think once you know what that means and what good looks like to you and the why behind what you're doing, then everything else gets easier. And so, for example, like for us, we try and not talk to our customers too much about the platform. Right? We try and understand what it is they're trying to do first. What's the goal? And then we start trying to pick and choose with them what's the best feature set, what's the best way to achieve that. So I think start with that. I think there's a plethora of applications out there, not just LMSs and all these different things that you need to try and wade through and navigate through. My best advice is to step away from that and not try and get too distracted by the noise. The signal is your business result, what you're trying to do, and then work backwards then from there. So certainly having content, learning content, having that at the ready is definitely helpful. But having said that, to your point, like with AI now, it's very easy to generate very quickly content. And so that's becoming less and less of a problem, I would have said, particularly for people starting greenfield and so forth. So yeah, bring it right back to what you're trying to achieve. That's the most important point.
All right. Well, if there was one key takeaway you could leave our audience with today, what would that be?
That's a great one. Keep learning, always keep learning. I think as humans, we absolutely love to learn. And that can be everything from sort of like new technologies and learning about maybe the L&D space and things like that. That's certainly a key thing. But I think maybe to bring it back to your question, like if you were starting from greenfield, and I think there's a lot of people out there now that are doing that, is to you take the time, step back, learn as much as you can. As I say, the L&D space is vast. There's a lot of different elements and platforms out there. So don't get too, let's say, anxious about it, or don't get too worried about stuff. There's always a solution to different things. So that's probably the main thing I would say to people. Certainly AI is the thing, right? And I think if people aren't keeping up to speed with AI and the sheer speed at which that technology is moving at, that's definitely something that I would be keeping top of mind. So hopefully that helps listeners.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing your insights with us today.
No problem at all, Amanda. Thanks again for having me. Lovely to chat.
All right. And thank you to our audience. Stay tuned. There's more.